Hello and welcome to Bumble Stitches podcast episode 24. My name's Nicola and it's really nice to be back with you today. It's Sunday the 13th of May and I believe it's Mother's Day in quite a lot of countries around the world. I know it definitely is in the US, so happy Mother's Day to you all. It isn't in the UK, we had ours back in March, so we're a little bit different in that respect. But I do hope you're all having a lovely day. You can find me obviously here on YouTube, and if it's your first time checking in with a podcast, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it, and if you're a returning viewer, I really appreciate you coming back. It's always lovely to see you. You can also find me on Instagram as Bumble Stitches. We have a group in the Ravelry Groups tab called Bumble Stitches Podcast Group, which I'd love you to come and join. And you can also find me on Etsy as Bumble Stitches Store. Okay, I hope you've all had a really nice time since I saw you last. It has been a few weeks. I've been really busy with lots of things, mostly sewing, which I will come on to later, and quite a lot of knitting as well. Although I feel like I haven't got that much to show you because the things that I've been working on have been sort of quite big projects, so there's not lots of little things, but hopefully you'll enjoy what I've been up to anyway. I've had a slightly different setup today. Those of you that have watched before will notice I'm sort of the other way around. So I hope the lighting's okay. It's a bit difficult. The window's over here, and the light shade in the room always makes this strange sort of pattern. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But I just hope that it's okay and it's bright enough for you to see sort of colours and detail of things that I'm going to show you. I thought I'd sit this way round because I'm actually sitting at my desk and it just makes it easy to have everything on the desk in front of me, and hopefully you can, you'll appreciate me not sort of bobbing around too much as I reach to get things and throw things on the floor as I usually do and just generally make a mess. So I'm just going to start off with a little sip of my tea, which is, I'm really spoilt today because this is some David's tea, which we can't get here in the UK, and I don't believe they ship here either. But I got this as part of a swap that Tracy of Thimble and Thread make organised way back when Edinburgh Yarn Festival was going on, and it was a kind of a fear of missing out kind of consolation for not being at Edinburgh Yarn Festival that she arranged a swap. And I was partnered with Nina in Canada, and as part of the swap she sent me some delicious David's tea. So I'm just going to have a sip of this, and it is lovely. It's called Sweet Tart or Sherry d'Amour, which I think sounds much nicer than Sweet Tart, but it is delicious. And I also wanted to just quickly show you, seeing as I'm sitting at my desk, I'm using my coaster, fancier cuppa, with a lovely Liberty print, and this was from Ali at Homebird Makes, and she's on Etsy, and I bought 3 of these from her shop and they are beautiful. So I kept this one for myself and gave one to my daughter and one to my mum, so we've all got one for our special cups of tea. So that sits on my sewing desk up here. It's also my work desk because I travel about a lot for work, but work from home sometimes. And it's really difficult to switch off from all the things around me, the sewing machine and the knitting and everything that I've got in here, all the pretty things, and actually concentrate and do some sort of real live sort of paying the mortgage type of work. But it is, I do feel really comfortable sitting here like this today. So that's my tea. Super organised. So I guess I should stop just bumbling on and get on with the show. So I'm going to start off with the only finished object that I have since I saw you last, or the only finished knitting object, which is was the mystery knit along that Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade had running. I suppose it was about 2 months ago now it started, maybe 6 weeks ago, and it's the Impressionist mystery knit along, and I'm going to attempt. Now this is finished, but it isn't actually blocked, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway, and when it's blocked I can always show it to you again. So it's a big one. I don't know if you can see. So it's a crescent shape shawl. I'll just sort of show you the ends and then I can show you a little bit more detail. So that's my Impressionists shawl. I really enjoyed knitting it. It was in 4 weekly clues, and I ordered my yarn from Vine, and I had to wait for it to ship from New York. So I waited on tenterhooks for that to arrive, and eventually it did. And even the customs man was kind to me this time, and customs charges were very reasonable. And by the time the yarn arrived, I think it was already, clue 2 was already out. So I was, getting a bit anxious that I was going to be so far behind. But it was such a joy to knit. It just flew off the needle. So I'd finished clue 1 within a couple of days and moved on to clue 2. And I think by the time clue 3 came out, I think I was pretty much up to date. So that was really good. The bulk of the knitting was in the first sort of clue anyway. So by the time you got to the really long rows, which you can see, as I say, it's big, and I wouldn't even if I lay right back, I just can't possibly fit it all into the frame. But by the time you got to the last clue, there were quite a lot of stitches on the needles. I think 500 and something, I don't know, quite a lot. And it was a picot bind off, as you can see here. So it was very kind of Helen to put the bulk of the knitting in the first sort of sections, because all her patterns are sort of percentage wise. So you knew you'd done a good chunk of it with those first 2 clues. So I'll show you a little bit closer up. So yeah, it starts off with the garter section and into stripes and eyelets. Obviously these will block out and be a bit more defined. And then there's the lace section here, which I don't know if the camera's picking up very well. Light's going all wonky, but you can see that. I think that's meant to represent sort of water lilies, like from a Monet painting. And then down into the darker sections with more eyelets, and as I mentioned, this beautiful let's try and get that bit better for you, that beautiful picot bind off, which again I will block that to be more defined. So really pleased. I love Helen's patterns anyway. Anyone that watches the podcast regularly will know what a huge fan I am. And this didn't disappoint at all. There's always an element of trust with a mystery knit along, but I never worry if it's something that Helen's designed, because I just know that it's going to be gorgeous. It was the snow melt last year that I knitted, and that was beautiful, fun to knit, and a lovely shawl at the end of it. So I knew that this would be just as amazing. So that's the almost finished object. I do really need to get on and block it. I'm going to show you the yarns that I bought. As I mentioned, they're all from Vine, from Kristin, and these are all on her Nouveau base, which is a singles base, which I love knitting with for shawls. And the 3 colours that I had were, this was the kit that Helen knitted the sample in, and once I saw it, I mean, I did have a little stash dive, but I couldn't find anything that was really ticking all the boxes for me for this knit along. So once I saw the kits that Kristin had dyed, that was it. Nothing really sort of came close, so I had to have it. I'll start with the this is the Solstice colourway, which is the neutral. It's got a fair portion of that one left. The next one is Curious, which is the pink. It's got loads of subtle variegations in it, like a very light tan, and the blue peeps through, the sort of like bluey purple that's in the darker skein. And the darkest shade is Thor, as in Thor in snow, not as in God of Thunder. Yeah, so the colours are just beautiful, and they just lead naturally into each other. So that was quite a lot of knitting, and I pretty much knitted monogamously on this since I saw you last. but I think it's been worth it, and I can't wait to get it all blocked and dried, and I will share it briefly when that's all complete. So that is the finished object for this podcast. Pop that away. I'm going to try and be a bit tidier today when I'm podcasting, because it does take me ages when I finish to actually get everything put away again. So the tea is delicious. I can't leave it alone. Let's move on to works in progress, and again, two quite large works in progress going on at the moment, and also a half finished object in the way of a pair of socks. There are lots of other whips that are all like over here in the bags that you can see on the shelves. They're not actually, to be fair, they're not all actual whips. I did a couple of weeks ago decide to gather all the patterns together that I'd decided that I was definitely going to knit. It's mostly socks and things like that. Match them up. I printed them off, matched them up with the yarns that I wanted, caked the yarns up and popped the pattern and the yarn and any other bits and pieces that I needed, if I had spare needles or whatever, and popped them all in the project bag. And since I've done it, I've forgotten what's in which bag. So the plan is, once I've finished my pair of socks that I'm currently working on, I'm just going to grab a bag and whatever pops out. And they're all beautiful. They're all lovely yarns and lovely patterns. So it'll be a surprise to me, because I've not got very good memory, and now they're all mixed up and zipped up, or done up in the bags. I have no idea. So that will be quite exciting to see what I get next. And I will be strict. So whatever comes out of those, whatever project it is, I'm just going to go with it. And I thought it'd be just like having little kits all waiting for me. Anyway, I digress. So let's get back on to the whips. So I'll start with the socks. And these are, well, I've been really naughty because I've popped this on a blocker, but it isn't actually blocked, or the ends haven't been sewn in either. So inside here is like spaghetti junction of yarn. And I started knitting these. I'd been watching Kay on the Bakery Bears doing her scrappy socks, which she was doing with 10 rows of each of a mini. And I thought that's a really good idea. And there was a yarn update. I can't remember which dyer it was. Anyway, it's not really relevant. And there was a set of minis that I really, really wanted to get to knit some scrappy socks. And I wasn't quick enough, and the minis sold out. And then I was all disappointed because I thought, oh, well, I can't knit scrappy socks now, the ones that I wanted to knit. But, of course, after thinking about it for a little while, I thought, come on, how many odds and ends of yarn have you got? How many minis have you bought in the past? You must surely, in all your minis and bits of yarn and stash, have a selection that you can use to make some scrappy socks. And sure enough, I did. I had loads. And quite a few of these come from my advent calendar that I got from Nora George last year. So they've gone to good use. And some other bits and pieces that I had in my basket that I used for my crochet granny stripe blanket. So I sort of robbed some yarn from there and used them to do the socks. And as we all know, with when you get self-striping yarn or anything that's that sort of, if it's not even self-striping but you're knitting a stripe, you just want to get on to the next colour change and the next colour change and the next colour change. So they fly off the needles. So this sock was knitted in sort of like about 2-3 days, maybe, obviously without the ends being sewn in. And I really, really like it. So I'm going to show you how far I've got on the second sock. And it kind of went to one side. I think I was sort of doing this while I was waiting for the Wool and Vine yarn to turn up for my Impressionists knit along. So, and this is how far I am on the second sock. So I'm just following it exactly the same to match the first one. Random doesn't upset me, but I would prefer if I can make things match. So I've decided to do the colours in the same sequence. And this is cute little progress keeper that I got from Jules, So Sweet Violet, with the little sort of glittery stars, which I thought was nice. It matched all the different colours. So that's coming on really, really nicely. I've got all my minis in here. And this is a really cute little bee bag with some little fabric hexes that was from Sam of Betsy Makes that I bought maybe a year ago, maybe more. But it's a nice little size and everything fits in there nicely. So, but again, I still haven't learned and I'm not sewing in the ends as I go. So yeah, that'll be a bit of a job at the end. Put that back in there. So kind of a hoe, but I think the pattern really for this week is, for this podcast, is things are sort of finished, but not quite. I need to not get distracted by the next pretty thing and actually finish off what I'm working on completely before I move along. I'm going to pop those down in a tidy manner. Okay, the next thing I wanted to share with you is my Tenure sweater, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, Boylan Knitworks. I'm just going to get the pattern out here so I can show you if you aren't. It's a paid for pattern. It's available on Ravelry, and you can see it's a short sleeve, loose fitting sort of t-shirt kind of garment, which I think is perfect for the warmer weather, sort of layering as it is here, or with a t-shirt and sort of jeans or something like that. I just think it's a really nice pattern. I've seen some beautiful ones pop up on Instagram and on Ravelry that are such lovely, lovely sweaters. So I thought I'd have a go. I was a bit intimidated by this lace border here, which obviously is the whole, you know, selling point of the pattern. That's the bit that makes it. But lace and I don't really get on that well. But I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? It's only knitting, and if I really can't do it, I'll just frog it and do something else. But I'll show you where I'm up to. Well, first of all, I'll show you, I'm very impressed that I actually knitted a swatch. And I'm using yarn from the Wool Barn. I don't know if the colour's coming up well. So I actually knitted a swatch, which is really good for me, because I'm often a bit too gung-ho and just go for it. And then, but I didn't want to go to all the pain of knitting the lace and then it will go horribly wrong and not fit me at the end. This is living in one of my project bags, my Bumble Stitches project bags. And this has led on to quite a lot of, quite a big idea that I'll tell you a little bit about later. And if you've been, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably guess. So this is made with Liberty fabric, Liberty lawn, and this these were Justin's old jeans that I've used at the base here. But anyway, back to the project. So as I mentioned, the yarn is from the Wool Barn, and it is their camel silk 4-ply. Colourway is golden, and it's finger in weight, 50% silk and 50% baby camel, which is just extraordinary. I have shown this yarn before on the podcast, because when I initially bought it, that there is more the actual true colour, the way the light's hitting it there. I originally bought this to knit a the Boxy by Hoki Locatelli, the one that's got the buttons on the down the sleeve, but it just seemed like such a lot of stockinette and I just abandoned it. So it sat in stash for a while, and I've got 4 skeins of it, so there's going to be plenty to knit a Tenure. And I thought with the drape of it, because you can see how sort of how drapey it is with the silk in it, I thought it would be perfect for Tenure. It's a nice neutral colour, and also with the silk, I think it'll be quite a light fibre to wear in the warmer weather. So that's the yarn. I'm going to attempt to show this to you. Now, there isn't a lot of knitting on the needles, but hopefully I can make it make sense for you. So it started at the bottom up. I'm just going to try and untangle it a little bit so you can see. Yeah, it's knit from the bottom up, and it's, you start with the lace. But she does tell you to put to load it up with stitch markers. I think it's every 20 stitches you start off with. So this is where I am at the moment. So this is obviously the hem of the sweater. I'm going to try and space it out a little bit, but I really don't want to drop any stitches off the needles, because I did that last night when I popped it down. to go and sort our supper out, I always manage to get everything in a giant tangle, and I don't really know how I do it. I try to be one of those super organised podcasters, but so you can see there how the pattern's starting to form, the lace pattern. So far so good. I haven't had any major catastrophes with it. I think there are I'm about a third of the way through the lace, and then it's just stocking it all the way, so that I can cope with. I did have to change my needles to get gauge. Sorry, just a little bit thirsty. So I'm glad I did swatch, because she does mention that she knits quite or very loosely, and that the test knitters, their needle sizes ranged vastly to get gauge for this project. So that's the Tenure, and I'm really enjoying it. So it almost be a shame when the lace is finished, because it is such an enjoyable knit. It's a really well written pattern. It's the second one of hers I've knitted. The first was the Birkin with the colourwork yoke, but yeah, this is such a good knit, so I would recommend this if you're looking for something to wear when the weather's a bit warmer. Let's pop this away nicely and not pull it all off the needles. So that's been taking up quite a bit of time, and it's not something, I mean, I really have to concentrate when I'm knitting it. I can't just watch TV. We're a bit addicted to The Man in the High Castle on Amazon at the moment. We started watching it when it first came out and watched season 1, which I think was about 18 months, 2 years ago. And then we didn't have Amazon Prime, and now we've got Amazon Prime again, so we realised we could watch season 2. But of course I've forgotten everything that happened in the first episode, so we started it again, and I'm torn between knitting on this and actually watching the programme. So I tend to do some my other whip, which I'm just about to show you, while that's on, and then I can yeah, just actually follow the programme as well. Okay, so my next whip, and guess what? I did do a swatch for this. I think I shared this before on the podcast. So this is this was the swatch for the Door Sweater, which is by Amy Miller. I'm just going to get the pattern and show you. So that's the sweater. It's just a stockinette sweater, but the detail is here in this sort of giant split hem with a lower back than front, which is a nice flattering design. Long sleeves. I don't know if I do the sleeves quite that long, because I like to have my arms, you know, my hands and wrists free. I'll try and show you this without showing you the, I'm going to show you the detail, but I don't want to show you the pattern. Also, I've been like scribbling. There's lots of scribblings and markings. So if I just do that, and then you can see the split hem in a bit more detail, if you aren't familiar with this. Jules at So Sweet Violet did one of these, and that's where I was sort of first aware of this pattern, and she did hers in a lovely, I think it was a Cozy Posy Yarn Company yarn in like a strawberry sort of colour. It was beautiful, and I thought it looked like a really nice knit. So this is what I'm working on while we're watching The Man in the High Castle. I'll pop it out and show you. I love that cut, but it's so wide at the top that tea doesn't stay hot very long. Okay, so this is the yarn. It's John Arbon Knit by Numbers 4-ply, and the colourway is KBN 53. And this is going to be fun trying to show this to you, because it's a huge piece of knitting, but I will show it to you. And I'm actually on the rib section of the front. So if I hold it, I mean, it's not particularly photogenic at this stage of its development, but the back's all done. That's the ribbon at the bottom. It's got a really nice moss stitch detail, which you could see on the pattern, which is gives the, that's better, which gives the split hem a really nice feature. Did I just say that? Have I repeated myself? anyway, it's a really pretty design element of the sweater, and the really deep rib as well, which is really, really nice. A bit of a pain to knit, but worth it. So it's knitted, you knit the back all the way down, and that's the longest part, and then you pick up from the shoulders and knit, you can see, knit the neckline, armhole shaping, that's the back. It's that way that stockinette sort of curls in on itself. Armhole shaping, and again the same moss stitch, seed stitch. One of my hairs on it. Gosh, my hair's falling out terribly at the moment. And then down to the rib again, which is where I am, and it's still on the needle. So it's, I think, 4 inches of 1x1 rib. But it is great for TV knitting because your hands carry on and your brain can take in what's on the screen. And then it finishes off with a tubular bind off, which I had never done before, and I was a bit daunted by it, and I thought, oh, should I just cast it off the way, just cast it off in rib and that'll be fine. But I did take the time to look up how to do it, and there are quite detailed instructions on the pattern, and I did the tubular bind off, and it gave a really nice finish here. So I'm glad I took the time to do that. And it is nice to learn a new technique. So that's the door sweater. Really, really enjoyable. Not looking forward to the sleeves, I have to say. Sleeves aren't my favourite. But to try and alleviate the tediousness of knitting the sleeves, I have ordered, they just arrived the other day, a pair of high sharps in the right size because they've got a nice flexible cord. I love my Chiagus. They are my favourite needles. They are, out of any, they're my favourite. But the cords on them can be a little bit stiff. Not so much in the mini set that I use for socks, but the larger interchangeable set, I find that the cords are a little bit too, they just want to keep bouncing open at the point where your magic loop is, if you see what I mean, and it tends to make a little bit of laddering. I don't know if anybody else has found that, but I do find that to be a bit annoying and a bit of a problem. So hopefully with these and magic looping on the sleeves, it will be much less painful. And I've also got on order from Amazon some more Chiagu, just fixed circulars, because I found that from about 3mm up to 4mm, so 3.25, 3.5, 3.75, I don't seem to have enough needles. I just keep pinching the tips off one project to put on another, and I thought I may as well get some extras. So I went for the fixed circulars because I thought then they're great for magic looping as well. So I'll add those to my sort of needle collection. So that's the door sweater. So it won't be long. It'll probably be this weekend that I cast off the front, do that tubular bind off, and then I'll probably start picking up the sleeves a bit later on. But I just keep getting drawn back to the Tenure. That's the one that I really, really want to knit on all the time. So that brings us to the end of my whips, or the whips that are currently being whipped on, as opposed to the whips that are hibernating at the moment. So let's have a little chat about the old and new KAL that we have all been enjoying in my Ravelry group. And the old and new KAL, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's a year-long knit-along, and all you have to do is use old yarn, which is the old part of the old and new. So old yarn, i.e. existing yarn that you have in stash, not yarn you've bought specifically for a project, and knit it with a new pattern. So it's the old and new. And every month the participants have been posting the most amazing projects in the Ravelry group, and the April entries were just outstanding. So I'm really, really pleased that so many people are enjoying it. They're joining in, sharing what they're making, entering the KAL, and most importantly, using up some of the lovely stash that they had languishing, which is great, because otherwise what's the point if it just never sees the light of day? There's always more yarn to buy. There's always more pretty yarn just around the corner. So I say let's get it knit up, and that's what you've all been doing. So I have drawn a winner. And the prize is this beautiful skein of yarn and a mini that I bought from Beehive Yarns when she was doing the Flower Power Fund yarn of the month, which was the yarn for March, I believe. And this is called Vintage Daffodil, and the mini is called Spring Sunshine. Both finger in weight yarns, beautiful. And of course the money, some of the money raised from sales of the yarn goes towards the Marie Curie charity, which I think is just here in the UK. I'm pretty sure it is. And they offer specialist and dedicated nursing for terminally ill people, palliative care, hospice at home services, all those kinds of things. So a really, really worthwhile cause. So that's the prize. And I'm just going to have a little look at my notes on my desk now because I feel more organised. Okay, so there were 23 posts in the finished objects thread in Ravelry. Obviously post 1 was mine, so I asked random generator to pick us a number between 2 and 23, and the number was lucky 13, and that is Karin from Sweden. Congratulations. And your Ravelry name, I'm going to try and pronounce it, is Ulven. I don't think I'm doing a very good job with that. Ulherven. I've probably butchered that. I'm really sorry, Karen. It's Ullhrvan. If I can figure out, I'm really rubbish at editing. If I can figure out how to put your name on the screen, I will do so. But I will contact you on Ravelry anyway to make sure you don't miss out. And you knitted the most beautiful jade green socks with lots of lace and cables. Absolutely stunning. So thank you ever so much for joining in with a knit along. And once I have your address details, I'll be sending this beautiful yarn to Sweden. So congratulations. I may as well share with you the next prize for the May knit along. And seeing as the last yarn was part of the Flower Power Fund, I thought it would be really nice to do another one. So the yarn for April was dyed by Kelly at Lay Family Yarn, and her flower is crocus. So you can see you've got the beautiful crocus sock set with the beautiful purples and this beautiful, obviously like the saffron colour of the crocus stamens, which is absolutely nailed it with the dye in there. It's absolutely beautiful. And a little matching mini for your heels and toes. So I purchased this because I thought it would make a really, really nice prize, and also makes me feel good that I've donated some money back to the charity and supported all the wonderful dyers that are making such beautiful yarns for us for this charity event, which I think runs all year. And I haven't actually bought this month's, which I think is by Fine Fish Yarn. So do go and check that out if you haven't already. So this will be the prize for the May finished object thread. And there are already some beautiful, beautiful finished objects in there. So keep knitting, keep sharing. Do try and get involved in the chatter thread as well if you can, because obviously there's no chat on the finished objects thread. And yeah, please do pop in there as well and have a little chat. You know, guilty as charged. I don't go into there as much as I should, but it'd be really nice if I'll try and make an extra effort to get in there and spend some time having a little chat. So please do pop in there and have a chat. And I'll look forward to giving this away when May's finished objects are all complete. I wouldn't mind if anybody that wanted to donate a prize to the knit along got in touch with me. That would be really, really helpful. we did have a lovely bag that was donated by Leslie at Duckpool Lane, which went out. Was absolutely stunning. I do have a pattern that was donated to give away as well, which I will probably do for June's prizes. But if you're a bag maker, a yarn dyer, you know, a maker of any sort, and you wanted to, you know, share and send something in, that would be really, really helpful and very much appreciated, because everyone's working so hard with their finished objects. I just want to be able to, you know, give the winner a really nice treat. So thank you. Okay, I mentioned at the top of the podcast when I was sharing my tea that I'd done a swap with Nina in Canada, and Nina sent me the lovely David's tea, which was fab, and some really nice little sweet treats as well from Canada. And it's nice when you do something international. It's really nice because you get stuff that you just don't get in, you know, where you live. And it's nice to see, you know, what other people have got. I'm really nosy like that. I'm one of those people that goes on holiday and then goes looking in the supermarket to see, you know, what all the... Anyway, I'm digressing. So there was beautiful tea, and the tea bags that I was using today, the little sweet tart one, came in this really cute little pouch from David's Tea with a rose gold zip. It's really pretty little heart and roses pattern on the front. And I've got a couple of these now, and they make really good little notions pouches when you're out on the go, or just to keep in your handbag with a few little tissues and a, you know, couple of headache tablets, or, you know, whatever it might be. So really lovely little pouch, which I shall keep. And she sent me the most amazing skein of Julie Aslan, and is that Lizu fingering weight yarn in this gorgeous pewter grey. And you can't go wrong with grey, can you? It's absolutely beautiful on its own. Goes with absolutely any other colour. What's not to like? I love it. If in doubt, grey yarn all the way. The colourway is flannel, so that grey flannel, and it's a 90% superwash merino and 10% silk, and it's 115 grams, and I love it. So I don't know if Nina watches the podcast, but if you do, Nina, you did good. I love this yarn. It's fabulous. So thank you ever so much. It was a joy doing a swap with you. Nina also sent me a mini of some Tanis Fibre Arts yarn here, which is in the rock colourway. And this is an Aran weight in those beautiful tonal greens. And she sent me some little minis that she has dyed herself. So these little... This is 100% merino that Nina's dyed. And she's got a real talent for that. That's beautiful. So that'll be heading for my granny stripe blanket. And there's another one here, which is from Akara Yarns, called Ready for Spring. And that's a dyer that's local to her. I'm trying to remember whereabouts in Canada she is, and I can't remember. I want to say Toronto, but it might have been Ontario. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Nina. But anyway, this is local to where Nina lives. And this one here is another one that Nina dyed. And this has been dyed using avocado pits or stones. And it's a beautiful colour. The camera isn't doing it justice. It's almost like a rose gold colour. Really, really pretty. So that was such fun. It was really lovely to receive all the goodies in the mail, and that main skein of yarn is amazing. I'm in love with it. And she also sent me a really cute little card, and I think that's what's so nice when you get those little touches, you know, little personal touches from people. It's really, really fun. So thank you, Tracy at Thimble and Threadmake, for organising that swap. It was a really good idea and definitely helped with the the fact that we were all missing out on Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Okay, I think my tea's probably really cold now. And time is marching on. So I'm going to jump straight into acquisitions. While I was buying the yarn from Kelly at Lay Family Yarn, I also bought this sock set, which is called New Beginnings, which is soft pinks, this beautiful soft green, some lovely speckles. Just love it. Little yellowy bits there. I do apologise for the light. I'm trying to, I keep faffing around with the setup in here, trying to get the best lighting and position and everything. This is more comfortable for me to sit like this and talk to you all, but I'm conscious it's not the best for you. In fact, I'm going to try and turn my desk lamp on. It's probably going to, is that good or bad? Oh, that might actually be a little bit better. So this was one that I treated myself to, and I'm really looking forward to making some socks with this one. I also received the final instalment of the yarn from Amy at Little Tailoress, or Dandelion and Dogwood as she is now, which is a really nice, a really lovely name, and I can see why she's had that sort of rebranding to reflect where she is at the moment. This was the third instalment of the Waitress Sock Yarn Club, which is a 3-month club based on the film The Waitress, which I haven't seen, but everything was kind of like pie themed and absolutely beautiful. And these colours I love, 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 love. This sort of Tiffany blue, all the greens and yellows, a little bit of natural peeping through, stunning. I don't know if you can see the little progress, if I can keep it still, the little progress keeper is a little slice of pie and some cutlery, and there's a little tiny charm that matches, or some little beads. There it is. How pretty is that? So the first skein of yarn I got, or the first set that I got from Amy in this club, is in one of the mystery bags over there, and the second one was a peachy one, and that's still in stash, and this was the third, and they all came with really nice sweeties. This came with lemon bonbons, which lasted about 5 minutes. I've got a little piece of paper in here, and I'm intrigued because I don't know actually what I wrote on it. Ah, yes, it tells you about it. That's why I popped it in there. It says, this is called Start Fresh. This kit is inspired by the fresh start that Jo gives to Jenna and the colours of her new diner. I hope you love it. I do, Amy. It's fab. I really need to check that film out so I would actually understand what the references are. So that was an acquisition, and sadly that club is over. And next, I couldn't believe this, how beautiful it is. This is, I'm going to try and hold it all to show you just how beautiful it is. I did share it on Instagram, so I was so excited. This is the Happy Trails kit, and there's a sock mini as well that I got from Amy. Treated myself to this because it's just beautiful. So let me just share with you the elements. So of course there is the stunning bag that Amy's made in this fabric. She called it Happy Trails, and I think she said it would be the ultimate fabric for making curtains for a little caravan to go off on little adventures in, and it's absolutely beautiful. So that's the bag. Just the colours just scream summer, don't they, and sunshine and cheerfulness. And Amy's workmanship is fabulous. It's a little tiny envelope style notions pouch with a snap fastening to match. It's like my treasured possession, this one at the moment. And then the self-striping sock yarn. And it's the first time I've had a hand-dyed gobstopper of yarn, and it's just amazing. So, so pretty. And the hard work that must go into winding these skeins by hand. I mean, they do look totally beautiful, but I can imagine it's a real labour of love to sit and wind these by hand. And she's made this gorgeous little progress keeper to match all the little beads. Such a pretty, probably the prettiest progress keeper I think I've ever seen. The yarn itself is obviously called Happy Trails, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, self-striping, 100 grams. I love it. It's beautiful. And the mini to match. I don't know when I'm going to knit that yarn. I've just been waxing on about the knit along and saying about there's always lovely yarn coming along, but just to even take this apart would seem like a shame. It looks just so pretty as it is, but I'm sure at some point I will decide to get some socks knit up with that. But I'll start using the bag because that is beautiful. One very quick bit, I have bought some new fabrics, which I won't go through in huge detail. Most of these I'm going to show you next all came from Sally at You and Me and Mabel. Sally's lovely, and she has Mabel, her black spaniel, who is just beautiful, and she has a fantastic range of fabrics and the most amazing service, so it's always a treat to buy from Sally. These are the Liberty fabrics. I can't remember the name of the range, but I particularly like this one with a little thatched cottage in the, are they dogs or horses? Oh yeah, they're horses, because then the little tiny ones are dogs, I think, or various creatures. And then the florals, so they'll be appearing in some bags at some point. The other selection I got features rather cute little bunnies, which are very nice, with some coordinating prints. And there's some more creatures on this one, I think. Oh yeah, look, this one's got squirrels and hedgehogs and bunnies and birds. Really, really fun. Got quite a lot of fabric now mounting up. Another one, this is part of a Goldilocks range, but it's the only one I could get, sadly, which is nice. And this really lovely floral that I like, just like the boldness of the colours. So that was some fabrics that I bought. And then a sewing plan that I have. I saw this on Instagram. I can't remember the Instagram account. But anyway, I went and bought the PDF pattern from Sometimes Sewing. It's called the Take Along Tote. And you can see the style of it, the sort of shaped thing, and then the webbing handles. So you can just thread the longer handle through the short one and carry your knitting on your wrist from place to place. Normally mine's just from upstairs to downstairs, but hey. A really, really lovely pattern, so I thought I'd have a go at doing that. And I got some fabrics from Emmys for Make. These came through just a couple of days ago. And these are some of the rifle paper. I think they're the Amalfi collection. So I got the, I think this one's called Herb Garden. And this is the pattern that was actually, when they featured this bag on their Instagram, it was in this fabric and it just went so perfectly. I thought it'd be nice to get that one. And then I was torn when I went on Emmys for Make's website, because they also had it in the black background, which is stunning. So I got some of that as well. I'm hoping to have enough to make, oh, that's just the cream webbing that I bought for the handles. So I shall make a couple of those. They won't be for sale, obviously, because it's not my pattern, it's somebody else's pattern. But there hopefully will be some fabric left of these that I can make some bags for the shop at some point. So that's all the acquisitions, all the whips, all the, pretty much all the everything. But today, 13th of May, Mothering Sunday in everywhere apart from here, there is a shop update for my Bumble Stitches store on Etsy at 7 p.m. tonight. So that's 7 p.m. UK time, which is British summertime or GMT +1. And I have been very, very, very busy in the past few weeks making bags. And my lovely friend and cohort Polly of Paper Stories UK has been equally busy dyeing up some stunning sock sets of yarn. So I'm going to share them with you now. I do need to twizzle round for this. And I will share with you what we've been up to. So, do you remember I showed you this bag here? And this is where it all started, really. I made this because Justin's old jeans were just, the denim was such lovely fabric. It was too nice to just throw away or put in the, the clothing bank or wherever, the recycling. I thought I wanted to make something out of it. So I had this Liberty in my stash and I made a project bag and I loved it. Polly and I decided that we wanted to do a collaboration, and I said, why don't we do Liberty and denim, do a matching sock set? So that's what we've done. So without further ado, I'm going to share with you, just need to get organised. So the kits comprise a project bag and a coordinating sock set. So this is the blue colourway. I hope I can do these justice. So you can see this stunning sock set that Polly's dyed up. So this is the blue colourway. And each of the kits has a coordinating yarn for the Liberty fabric, and the mini is to just represent the denim for your heels, cuffs and toes. And the kits are called Forever in Blue Jeans, which is quite funny because Polly and I both realised that since we decided to name it that, we had that song in our heads the whole time that we were creating these. So it's been like an earworm that's completely stuck. So you can all have that earworm now. The next colourway is the pink. So that's the bag. So these are all Liberty fabric. And the bases are all, this is not denim that I bought by the metre. These are all actually upcycled denim jeans. So there are variances in the colour, in the fading, just in the feel of them. They're all completely unique because each one, I could only get one bag per pair of jeans. So they're all completely unique. So that's the yarn that goes with the pink one. Again with the blue mini. Aren't they pretty? I really hope you like them. We absolutely love them. So really, really hope that you all enjoy them too. So that's the pink. And running out of space. And the yellow, the yellow, the yellow. So that's the yellow bag. So can you see like the fading on this one here? Where the jeans have worn sort of naturally. Now I have to just let you know that none of these have got any holes or frays or anything like that in them. I mean, some other parts of the jeans, when I was sort of hacking them to bits, were in a pretty awful state, but these pieces are all sound, and they've all been, although they were clean when I bought them, they have all been laundered again and pressed by me to make sure they were super fresh and perfect to make into the bags. And that's this is the yellow skein, and it's mini. So she's done a fabulous job of matching the yarns to the fabrics. It also come with a little pack of the little light bulb stitch markers. And Polly's packed these up for you. And there'll be a couple of other little treats in your in the kit as well if you decide to treat yourself to one. I'm just going to show you so that you're aware. When I list these, when the listing goes up this evening on Etsy, there'll be the three colourways, the blue, the yellow and the pink, but there'll be two options within that colourway. So you'll have the option on the pink to choose darker or lighter for your denim. And the same with the blue. So I don't know if you can see on this one, there's some, I really like this, the way there's some fading on this one. They're my favourite ones, the ones that have got the fading on them. So you can buy that in the pale, the light denim or the dark denim. And completely the same with the yellow one as well. And again, this has got some really nice fading that I like, and this is a little bit lighter. So it's personal preference which you prefer. You can choose either denim depending on your preference, but they all go equally well with their matching sock sets of yarn. So I really hope you can make it and pop along to the update, because I'm like squealing with excitement to get them. They're all prepped and ready to go on Etsy, so I shall be hitting the button at 7 o'clock, and hopefully you'll join us and treat yourself to one of those. And hopefully it won't be the last collaboration that we do, because I've really enjoyed it. It's been great fun, and the whole sort of creative process. And it's lovely making things on your own, but it's just a joy when you're sharing that process with somebody else and inspiring each other. And because you all have those doubts when you make stuff and you think, oh, is it okay? And then when the person that you're working with loves it as much as you do, you know you've got it right. And it's just really nice to share the whole process. So if you can join us at that update, that would be really great. So I think I have finally got to the end of the episode. So please do keep doing your knit along items and popping them in the thread on Ravelry. Please do let me know if you want to donate a prize to the knit along. Please join us for the Etsy update. My store is called Bumble Stitches Store on Etsy. If you're not sure where to find it, you can have a look at my Instagram profile, and in the bio there is a link to the shop there. And I think that probably is everything. So have a lovely time, take care of yourselves, enjoy what you're making, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.